the last two videos I made about Yellowknife were basically me just talking, so I decided to try a bit of a different format, showing the area from the land, from the water, and from the air. I planned on making a one-year video. However, as we all know, 2020 was quite the year. I just simply did not get around to making a one-year video. I will say that Yellowknife has gotten through 2020 fairly well, probably better than a lot of other places actually. So I thought I'd just touch on a few things. I wrote some notes down for, I guess, the questions that I see the most or hear about the most from people that are coming up here to work through my employer. And one of them is wages, especially for, there are some people that will be coming up here with government jobs, and government scale, pay scales are federally are fairly consistent across Canada. However, there are allowances. And then there's the government of Northwest Territories jobs, municipal jobs, and of course the private sector jobs up here as well. They are higher than they are in most of the country. For instance, teachers get paid substantially more up here than they do anywhere else in Canada. The other thing that you have to consider when you come up here, and it's always a big question, and it's been really highlighted over the last month or so by folks that I know that are coming up here for work, and that's housing. Housing right now, there's a limited number of new units, and that's because the building hasn't happened quite as rapid as it normally does. And I'm sure this is consistent through the rest of Canada due to the fact that of all the restrictions that have been applied for people working in close proximity, especially on construction sites, although it is still going on. But there's been a limited number of new units, and because of the interest rates are down, a lot of the locals up here that were previously renters have now seized the opportunity to get into the real estate market by buying the available houses. Most of the places up here right now are going for more than asking. For instance, I know someone that recently listed a place for $399 and it sold for $450. Just as an indication that right now probably isn't the best time to buy. If you're a seller up here, it's a good time to sell. Also the goods. So as far as goods and services haven't really changed. There's the same amount of services up here as far as, contractors that people may hire to do things. Anything you can do yourself, of course, is always beneficial. You're going to save yourself some money. But a lot of the luxury items, say recreational vehicles, things like quads and skidoos, boats, bicycles, canoes, all that kind of stuff, all the nice little outdoor and all the luxury items, even trailers, secondhand vehicles. There's not as many of them up here. They're in a shorter supply than they would be in a large metropolitan area in the rest of Canada. And because of this, there's a very active secondhand market. Most of the stuff that's desirable, that's secondhand, once it goes on one of the marketplaces online, it will be sold fairly quickly. As far as your groceries and all your basics, we have not experienced a shortage of that in any way. Now and again, the shelves go down. The Yellowknife standard is what a lot of people that are up here for a long time call it. Now and again, you'll just see a depletion of certain items for whatever reason. But apparently that's been normal for the existence of this place. I guess it used to be even worse before the bridge was built across the Mackenzie River. There's families staying here a lot longer than they used to. And the reason I think that is driven by having conversations with people that have been up here for a while is the good wages, the schools, and a lot of the allowances that are provided by different employers for employees being up here, be it government or private sector. The schools are well funded. There's a lot of education assistance assigned to special needs children up here. The percentage of special needs children in the school system appears to be statistically a lot higher. So people might move here because of the fact they'll take advantage of that in the education system here. There's also some, trying to think of what incentives to stay in the education system here for people that graduate here and to come back and work here. There are some financial incentives for that. So it's encouraging families to stay a lot longer, to take advantage of sort of the system up here and the way it's set up for people. Healthcare. Healthcare is a big thing. It's decent up here. There's a big hospital. However, people are still being sent out of Yellowknife for certain healthcare procedures, healthcare emergencies. We had somebody at work over the last year that experienced some significant healthcare emergency, shall we say. They had to be sent down to Edmonton. So that's just something to consider as well. If you're concerned about that kind of healthcare, critical healthcare, um, keep that in the back of your mind when you're coming up here. Not that the healthcare system isn't good up here. They have an excellent fire and ambulance service up here, and the hospital is well staffed, and it's a fairly new hospital. It's a nice hospital. The other thing is the isolation. Given the fact that there are travel restrictions all around Canada, many people have not left the Northwest Territories for a year. It affects people differently, obviously. Some people are completely fine staying up here. They don't have a big issue with not getting out of the Northwest Territories or Yellowknife. They have a good, their circle of friends here. They've been here for a long time. They engage in a lot of activities up here and it doesn't bother them. There are people that are very anxious to leave the Northwest Territories. Even people that have been up here for a long time because they're used to their routine of getting out at the holiday times, be it during the summer, be it during the Christmas break, be it during the Easter break. It just depends on what they're used to and what their routine is. I don't have a fixed routine of when I go on vacation. A lot of people do, so it doesn't really bother me that I have to stay in Yellowknife for periods of time. Some people's work takes them out of here, and that presents its own challenges, obviously, to them and their families. There's not much more to say. I wrote a bunch of notes this time, so I would try and stay on point. The other thing about Yellowknife that I've really noticed in my 1 year and 9 months is dogs. Yellowknife by far has the largest dog population per person that I have seen of any place I've ever lived in Canada. I've lived across Canada. The only place I haven't lived are in the Maritime provinces. The dogs up here, there's lots of them. Most people have a dog up here, which is, I don't have a dog, I like dogs, and there are a lot of dogs up here. That's all I'm going to say. So because there's a lot of trails up here, you see people walking their dogs frequently here. A lot of people like to get out and walk their dogs. It's a social thing for them. I would say especially now with social contact being the way it is, it's fantastic for people to get outside with their dogs and socialize with other dog owners. You'll see a lot of dogs there. Like I saw a cute German Shepherd puppy the other day when I was out running, and I had to stop and pet it. But that's because puppies are very cute. A lot of dogs are fairly well behaved up here. I haven't had any incidences out on the trails or out anywhere with dogs coming at us aggressively. Most of the time they just want to be petted. I find most of them to be fairly well trained. So even though there is a lot of dogs, if you've got a problem with dogs, just be aware that I have not seen any dog problems up here. But just something to touch on. I just find it really funny. I did not expect there to be so many people with dogs up here. I just didn't. But anyway, that's all I've got to say about Yellowknife in this third video I've made about it. I probably should have made more, but I've been quite busy. There's been a lot of things going on over the last year. Some people's work slowed down, other people's work sped up, and they got more busy. I was one of those people. It's end of March right now, but it's still in the minuses. The snow's still on the ground. We don't expect the snow to be gone until sometime in May. So there's another month of this to deal with. Winters are long up here, but the daylight right now, the sun doesn't go down until well after 8. So the days are getting longer, and that really gets people outside and get that sunlight absorbing into their bodies. They really enjoy that. But that is it. If you have any questions, ask them below. I'll see if I can answer them. And take care of yourselves.